What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Gruesome Garage. I am working on this truck, and my brother brought the camera to film his Jeep, so I said, well, you guys have been asking about the truck lately. Want to see it? Well, here it is. She bit a caliper. Well, she ate a rotor. That's why we got a new one right here. And in the process, I opened up a little can of worms because this is, of course, a New Jersey truck. I bought it in Newark, New Jersey, so body might be fairly clean, but you know, it's got its cancer underneath. So I, of course, the line looked questionable and I wanted to replace the line. And of course, with these old Fords, for some reason, the line comes into here on the driver's side, into directly from the master to the left driver's side hose, and from there it tees off and it goes across to the passenger side. So of course every line didn't want to come off nicely. I tried my hardest. I thought I was going to get away with maybe just replacing one, but of course, me wanting, if one caliper decided to seize, then you know, why not do both calipers at the same time? So of course, that's why, if you see here, I got two calipers tossed to the side. So over on the other side, the line looked questionable too, so I guess I have to replace the hard line. Another thing I did while I was waiting for the parts, you know, it was sitting here, said might as well work on it. I decided to replace the rear fuel tank. Now, why I waited for so long not to do this was I was going to put a 40-gallon rear in the back, but I had already ordered this tank like 2 years ago, and you know, I was sitting around and I was bored and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw this in. I bought it before I knew about the 30 or the 40-gallon that you can put back here, so might as well just throw this in for now. Sending unit was shot. Got a new sending unit from a place called like T-Rex Parts or something like that. Weird, but they had an OEM replacement. Looks good. Haven't filled it up yet since it was sitting on jack stands with the hub off. But let's get to the dirty work. Ugh, I hate doing brake lines. Before we can do the hard lines though, I really want to get this all back together. Like I said, I had the rotor on before. Sorry, I thought of filming this after I started doing it. Didn't think it would be fun because this is kind of a mundane job, but you guys want to see the Ford, so here it is. Bum, bum, bum. These hubs is pretty simple. It's basically like a four-wheel drive setup, but it's just a spindle. There's no splines or anything in the middle, obviously, for an axle shaft. So you just take the nut off, take it apart, watch out for the bearing, it'll come out, put it back together. It's just bolts to this adapter hub to this, so you don't have to deal with taking the studs out like a four-wheel drive. So wham bam, put it together, put it back together, use your torque wrench, torque it to spec, then loosen it up. I think it's quarter turn until you know, until I feel it comfortable, and then put your little cotter key in with the castle nut shoulder thing, whatever you want to call it, and then put your cap back on. So I was in the middle of greasing up these guys down here for the pins, and we're gonna put our brandy new caliper on. You preload the caliper full of all its guts, pads in this vibration thingy, and then you take these cute little pegs right here, put them in top, then at the bottom, get it in. You need to at least start it, because if you start hammering this in, it's just going to push it out. So you get the bottom started, and then you just hammer them in. They have these detents where they stop. Make sure you grease up everything before you put them in. We got up here, we were able to salvage the old line. I pulled back some of that coil after it was rusted, and it looked very clean. So I reflared that one and got that hooked up. Now this slides in there and they get to clip. That we have to redo now. So I got myself a coil up there hanging on the wall. We're gonna feed it through, go to the other side, flare this up and coil it up, or uncoil it, get it flared, bled, and maybe I can drive this thing. Who knows? I kind of miss her. I kind of don't, because I got the two-door. I've been driving around having a lot of fun, but I miss this beast sometimes. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's just comfortable. I like driving a sofa. So, got the coil down there. Started running it from that side over. As you guys can see, another little fun time I've been having is something's been leaking from above and I cannot figure out what it is. So, I need to do a clutch anyway. The clutch I got a stock luck clutch and it is not happy with the amount of power I now have in it. So I'm gonna go to a single mass and a South Bend. I think it's a stage 2 or 3, I don't know, but it can handle like 1,000 foot-pounds more than this thing will probably ever make while it's my daily driver. So, and an automatic, so I'm really not concerned. I think that'll be perfect, but I think I'm gonna pull the motor anyway just to assess the, like I said, the oil situation. I honestly don't know what the problem is. I put the motor back together, so it's obviously my fault, but I'm assuming it's the cheap gaskets that the engine builder gave me when I brought the engine back to him. I first originally had all Felpro gaskets in this, drove around the block, and the machine shop that did my bottom end didn't correctly put a wrist pin in. The clip for the wrist pin wasn't put in, so it fell out and the wrist pin slid over and dug a little gouge in my sleeve. So we fixed that problem, brought it back to, well, I didn't fix it, they fixed it for free, but I told them, you know, hey, I ate a Felpro gasket set, or a rebuilt gasket set, a couple $100 for this thing. You know, can you supply me with a gasket set? So they did, and it was like an Engine Tech gasket kit or something, but I wasn't too happy with it, and I am really not happy with it now, to be honest. I think it was a big mistake putting it on. I should have just ordered myself another, whatever that company's called, the Felpro gasket set, and redid it myself, you know, ate the $200 or whatever. But you live and you learn, and like I said, it's a lot easier to change the clutch and do everything anyway while it's out. So we're gonna yank her, but let's get back to the brakes. We got the line through, across, clipped into the original spot, stuck out extra long, and we're gonna cut it down, flare it, and get it ready for the union of the two. Then this is basically done minus bleeding. We'll connect it up, and then we can focus mainly on the other side, get that all together. Maybe we can have a truck that stops and doesn't need brake pads. Bad caliper. There she is. Super simple, but not at the same time. Now let's focus on the next side and get it ready for a wheel and ready for a bleed. Or bleed then wheel. So I love doing this. Not wow, all lined up. New caliper on this side, line across. New caliper and rotor on this side, and new brake line over here too, hose, and then a line across, of course. So I'm gonna beat, calling it a night, gonna clean up my mess, and then tomorrow I'm gonna bleed it, get this thing back on the road, take it to finally be able to fill up both my tanks again. I missed it so much. You know, like 2 years ago, before I pulled my truck apart, the front tank started leaking from the straps. So I took the front tank out, redid it. I ordered both tanks at the same time because, you know, just like 2 calipers, 2 gas tanks, whatever. If it's got 2 or however many, everything gets replaced at once. So I did the front and I had both working again. And then about a week later, the rear started leaking, and it was winter time, so never got around to it. And ran that fuel tank pretty dry and decided to pull the whole thing apart and start doing that. And I really got caught up in the engine work, so I didn't pay attention to the rear. And after the engine work was done, all I did was want to drive this thing, so it got put off. So I'm very happy I finally did it, and I can finally fill up both tanks. Now that we got the easy part out of the way, or really the hard part, we get to the fun and easy part. The bleeding of the brakes. This is my bleeding method. Just a hose in the top of a container. I bought the tool thinking it would be easier from the auto parts store for like that vacuum brake thing, but honestly I like doing it the best the old-fashioned way, with 2 people pumping the pedal and bleeding the lines. You're going to want to start with the farthest from the master first and go to the other side. Let's get at it. Now, honestly, you should be doing all 4. Start with the back passenger side, then driver side, then front passenger, then front driver. But this is a 2-stage or 2-sided brake system, so you really should only have to bleed the fronts. We're going to try it out, see how it is. And if it's not good, we'll bleed the backs and re-bleed it. But I honestly think that we'll be fine just bleeding the fronts. I might be eating my words, though. Let's get at it. Let's bleed the brakes. So we got a lot of the air out of there, not that as much as, you know, possible. But we're gonna go to the other side now, just for funsies. Start doing that one, and then come back. She's all back together and ready to go. Get some fuel for her first fill up in the rear tank. I cannot wait. So tune in next time, guys. Maybe you'll see this thing get a clutch. Probably not. It's going to be a few weeks.